Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to get this stator out of here and see what we can find. That was easy enough. Get this out of here just far enough so I can check it out. I see no indication of anything rubbing anywhere. But the inside of here is just covered. There's no problem with any of the wires. I'm going to clean this up real good. What is all this stuff in here? I see no indication of anything being wrong. I don't know. I think it must have been something external that got in there. I just don't know. So let's get everything cleaned up and case has been taken apart. All of these JIS head screws that hold the case together are stripped out, it looks like. Either that or they've been converted to Allen wrenches. I just can't tell. But we're going to get get a brush and some brake clean in there and clean that up a little bit. I'll be back. This area over here that seems to stick out, or either that or the other one, but I think it needs to be changed. I don't think I should leave it that way. It's easy enough to change this one, so I think I'll do that. Let me see if I got one. All right, folks, I'm not going to actually do this until I get the new oil seal for this, but I thought I'd go ahead and see if I could get this set up. Now, I've got, well, if I don't drop it and break it, I don't think it'll break. I've got this, which is to put in the spark plug hole, and then you put your meter down through the hole in there and tighten this set screw. But in order to get a probe that's long enough to reach the piston, I can't fit this thing in there. So what I got now, the way I got it set up now, which is less than optimum, I guarantee you, but it should get me real close to setting the proper timing. So I can turn the engine over until I get to top dead center. Now you'll see the top part of this going back up here shortly. I'm turning it the way the engine turns, which is counterclockwise. There we're going up, 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 and right about there is top dead center. Now, the book calls for 2.9 millimeters before top dead center. So we turn this back to the right, clockwise, until we get to about 3.2, somewhere in there. Now we go back counterclockwise very carefully until we get to 2.9. Without having a big lever on there, and I'm not going to use this setting anyway. That's basically the way you set your timing before you put the vape system in. Now, when you put this in, you go ahead and install this. Goes in like that. And then when you put the flywheel back on, the flywheel, well, let me show you a little closer on this. You see a mark right there, right? That 7238. Okay. Now, when you put the flywheel back in, this is according to the instructions. I've never done this, actually. All right, the flywheel also has a mark on it. And you want to line the mark on the flywheel up with the line that I just showed you on the stator. And that's all you're supposed to have to do to set the timing on this thing. It should be right. Once I get this new oil seal, I'll show you. I'm just going to click this off right where it's at. I'm going to leave it there. It's on a magnetic mount. That's why I say it's less than optimum. I mean, if you put it in this thing and screw this, could screw it down and have enough room between there and the top, or had the right length pin. I got several different pins that you can put in it, and none of them are going to work because I tried the shortest one. That doesn't touch. That's this one. And I tried the next one, which is this one, and that one I can't get the probe of the meter down in the hole with this mounted in the spark plug hole. So we went to the magnetic mount. Now there's just not a lot of magnetic around to mount to that's good, but I did. I mounted it to the frame. It's got a V side on the mount, so it mounts to round things. It would like it a lot better if it was a lot more round, but I think it's good enough to work this out. So once we get the new oil seal, we'll get that replaced. and we'll be back. Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's 3 or 4 days after what you've just seen, and I wrote a letter to Vape, or an email, not a letter, but I sent an email to Vape for some information about troubleshooting this, and I got back some answers. One of the things that they mentioned was that you've got to have 300 RPM in order to generate spark. Well, that's probably why I didn't see any spark, because I was just using my hand to turn it over without a plug in the spark plug hole. They also said that the spark itself, since it's so high energy, is very hard to see. Well, I don't think I was seeing even a high energy spark. So I'm thinking it was just the fact that I wasn't turning it over fast enough. Byron, when he brought this bike to me, told me that the problem he was really having was that it was extremely hard to start. So I showed you already a picture of the oil seal, the left-hand side of the crank, and you could see that it just wasn't in there right. So it very possibly could have been leaking. And if it was leaking, it would be leaking air into the crankcase. And leaking air into the crankcase would make this motorcycle extremely hard to start. So I just received in the mail, it took a few days from the order, and I just received the new oil seal for that side. And now I need to get myself some kind of a tool to get this in there and get it in straight rather than crooked like it was before. But this is, as you can see, a genuine Yamaha part. The other one was too, I believe, but somehow it got dented in on one side, as you could probably see from the picture. So we'll get this installed, and then we'll try to see if we got spark again. I have to go through the total timing thing and basically reinstall Vape on this machine. I do have a copy of the Vape install instructions now, so we're in good shape there. So let's get with it. What do you say? Alrighty. To get that oil seal out, I drilled a hole right here in the metal outside of this oil seal, and then I took a screw and I screwed it into it. Now, the optimum solution here would be to have a slide hammer with a pair of vice grips welded to the end of it, but I don't have that, so I'm just gonna try and pull on it and see if I can get it out of there. All right, that was pretty easy. I just took the claw hammer to it and braced against the end of the shaft there and just pulled it right out. No trouble. I'm looking at this, trying to decide what they did to it here. You can't see it probably, but it's a little bit rough on the inside. So I got to get something in there. Let me see if I can throw a light on it. Yeah, it's rusty in there. Considerably rusty. So I'm going to have to try and... Boy, I don't know. That bearing looks all right, but if I start using sandpaper in there, it's going to leave grit. I really don't want to tear this engine down. Well, let me think about it a while. All right, I don't know how well this is going to show up. I'll try to get the best shot I can of it. I took the oil seal out that was in here, crooked. And down in the bottom here, hopefully you can see it, I'm not sure. You'll see a little bit of darkness down there. That's corrosion. And it's pitted. And it's where the oil seal is supposed to seal. You can also feel roughness up here. It's not as bad, but there is some. But if you go to the point here where the inside of the oil seal rides, let's see if we can, you'll see here, there's corrosion in there too. Now, if I took some sandpaper and tried to sand that down, I'd be worried about getting all kinds of grit in the bearing. I might be able to seal that off and sand that down with some 2000 grit sandpaper or something like that. We'll give it a shot, see what we can do. There's a lot of rust in here. This bike sat with water down here for a long time. Well, I got the oil seal in. I didn't have any kind of driver to get that done. So I just got it started by pushing on it with my hand. And I think it's even all the way around. Then I went up and I had some aluminum. And I made some measurements to size here. And I made that little thing. And then I grabbed my aluminum bar and I worked my way around with the aluminum bar and my claw hammer. Where's my claw hammer? Over here. I found that old claw hammer buried in the dirt out there. I don't know how many years ago or how many years it was buried in the dirt, but I epoxied a couple of pieces of wood to it and it's been fine ever since. I just like bringing things back from the dead, I guess. Guess I should go up to the cemetery and see what I can do. Never mind. Anyway, we got that seal in. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in the house, fire up the computer, and print out the vape install instructions. Then we'll bring this guy to 2.9 millimeters before top dead center. We'll install the stator, the vape stator, and then we'll install the flywheel. Then we'll kick this thing over and see if we can get it to start. Sound like a plan? Does to me. All right, I want to try and show you. I don't know if it'll show up on this video or not. Exactly how corroded this original stator and flywheel and everything that was in this area was. This is just pure corrosion inside of here. If I get out close, you can see how pitted everything is, and even the edge. And I got a new gasket. I don't think that'll seal it. I hate to put a whole bunch of goop on there. So I'm going to at least give it a shot with some 220. And we'll see if we can't rub it around on there for a while and maybe get this a little bit smoother. Or at least a light coating of Yama Bond will give us a good seal. The only reason this is important, with the stator inside of here, your whole ignition depends on this staying dry. So if you're out riding this bike and you go through some water, you don't want that water getting inside here, like it obviously has in the past. So, because it'll screw up your ignition. So we're going to give it a shot and see what happens. Well, we went round and round on the 220 grit here with a little PB blaster on it. And it's much better, but I'm going to recommend to Byron that he purchase a new one if he can find one, or not a new one, but at least one that's in better shape than this one. Because right down here at the bottom, you'll see so much of the material is gone that we'll probably be able to seal it with some Yama Bond. But if it was mine, I think I'd find a new one. We got us a brand new gasket here. And we're going to put her back together. We got the blue wire from the vape's ignition coil hanging out in the breeze. That's the kill wire. Comes from up here, and the key switch. We didn't have spark on this thing when I started working on it. That fact that you got to get it to 300 RPM in order to generate enough to get spark might have had something to do with that. I was just pushing it down with my hand here. Now, hopefully you can see that. We do have spark now. Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's, I don't know, 92 degrees outside. I'm sitting here underneath my ceiling fan. I don't put air conditioning on until I really have to. And it's cool enough here. I'm not too bad. So anyway, you just saw me. I got it to where I think it's going to run. I got to put some stuff back together on it and things like that before we actually take it for a ride. Some other maintenance items that need to be taken care of, and it's been a unique, I don't know what you call it, journey for me, I guess. When I opened this thing up, I had no idea it had a vape system on it. So I've learned a little bit about it. The system really is pretty simple. Installation of the system is really pretty simple as well. And the hardest part is finding a place to put the components. And make it look decent. That's the thing. Without cutting up the original, in case they ever want to put this back to a standard machine. Why, I tried to do everything with it in mind that we could go back by simply putting the parts back that we took off. and tried not to damage the wiring too much. There is one or two places where I had to change it a little bit, but that can be fixed real easily. I wrapped some of the wires that had been hanging out, just a big bundle of wires hanging out there, where they had opened it up to try and hook up the vape system originally. And so I got those all wrapped up. I used cloth tape to do that. And this cloth tape is a wrapping tape. It's specifically made for wrapping wire looms. So that should be good forever, or maybe another 25, 30 years at least. Anyway, and what else? Well, gee whiz, how about a big like? A big thumbs up would be fantastic. And then come back in about a week, I expect. I'm only working a couple hours a day out there in the morning. I don't have any kind of cooling system out in my garage, so it gets a little warm in there in the afternoon. So yeah, a like and a subscribe if you're not already subscribed would be fantastic. So we'll see you on the next one in, I don't know, about a week. The old guy signing off.